There we go.
There we go. We're live. Yay. Welcome, everybody. I'm live with the beautiful Meghan McNabb, and we are going to do another episode, I guess, in our series of the live releases of emotions using timeline therapy.
Yes.
So, just briefly, if you're completely new to me, timeline therapy is one of the processes that I used in the rapid relief method. And I start there generally with clients, and it's how we rewire the brain. So we always want to go to the root cause or the first event that created the emotion or the belief, because as we know, just because we don't remember something doesn't mean it didn't happen and doesn't have an effect on us, right? Because our conscious mind only wants to remember things that we need in the moment to survive and go to work and live our lives. But our unconscious mind is driving the bus, and our unconscious mind is the part of our brain that is creating all these unwanted and unwarranted emotions and beliefs about ourselves that keep us stuck. So timeline therapy is what we use to go back to the root first event and release the emotion there in the brain so that moving forward you have choice. Right? Sums it up.
Yep. Perfect.
So, Meg, what are we going to work on today? What do you feel like? We talked a little bit about humiliated.
Yeah, like humiliation is like I don't know. I'm a funny person. I like to be funny. But I think I use it a little bit as a defense mechanism, I guess you could say, to like it's always been in my life that like humor is a great way to sideline a problem. But then whenever I get humiliated, like it's debilitating for me. So it's almost like I like to be funny and I like to like keep things like entertaining and all that fun stuff. But I think it's because when humiliation happens, it's like
you can't deal.
No, can't deal. It like affects me to my core. Like I feel, yeah, like when I think about humiliation, it just like goes right into like that validation piece of like I'm unworthy, that kind of thing.
Does it make you feel kind of sick almost when you think about that humiliation?
Yeah,
I can tell. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we don't have to talk endlessly about humiliation, right? Which is the cool thing about timeline work. We can just go in and let's release it and see how that feels and see if anything else comes up. Because you did mention like validation. I'll make a note of that. Okay, so let's start with humiliation and see what we find.
Sounds good.
All right, so we always have to ask for permission to your unconscious mind because sometimes we hold on to things and don't want to let them go. So, Meg, is it all right for your unconscious mind for you to release humiliation today and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Yes.
Beautiful. What is the root cause of this problem? The first event, which when disconnected will cause the problem to disappear. If you were to know, was it before, during, or after your birth?
Feels like after.
Okay. How old were you?
Ooh, probably feels like 9. 9's coming up.
9, perfect. So you notice that Meghan might not consciously know what exactly happened at 9. She's just getting a sense of it. Her unconscious is making a number pop up, and then we're going to go see where it goes. Okay. Sometimes if people get, during birth or before birth, obviously consciously you can't remember. Doesn't mean it's not there in your unconscious because it happened to you, right? All right. So Meg, I'd like to ask your unconscious mind to float up in the air above your timeline into the past and down into the event, right into position number 4, looking through your own eyes. Let me know when you're there.
I'm there.
Float back up above your timeline and go to position 3, well before the beginning of the event or any of the events that led to that event, and turn and look toward now. Ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event, the learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve the learning so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. Tell me what they are. So they're going to start with I am or I can.
I am worthy.
Yeah. What else?
I can stand up for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I can speak my truth. Oh, I can be okay alone.
Yeah.
I can decide what friends I have. I can tell someone no.
Mm.
This one's funny, but it's like I can walk downstairs.
Okay. How does that make you feel that if you can walk downstairs? What's that feeling?
It's empowering. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm strutting my stuff. My little 9-year-old self is like, yeah.
Good. What else?
Kind of relieved.
Mm-hmm. What do you want to choose instead of humiliated?
Empowered comes up.
Mm-hmm. What else?
So like lessons.
How does this feel, the event right now? How does the emotion of humiliation feel here? Does it disappear?
It feels like kind of irrelevant at this point. Like it seemed like such a big thing in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at it on like the long viewpoint, it's
Mm-hmm.
like it should. There's no definition to me in it.
Perfect. So it's like it's not powerful anymore, right? Cool. So float up high so you can see your whole life. Is there anywhere else we need to go here around humiliation, or are you good to come back down your timeline?
Um, it feels like I'm trying to just like float through other events. Like I don't think I need to clear them. They're all kind of on the same wavelength.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. So float to position number 3, and that just means you're above and before the event looking toward now. And come back to now above your timeline only as quickly as you can let go of all the humiliation on all the events all the way back to now. Assume position 3 with each subsequent event to preserve the learnings and let go of humiliation all the way back to now. Take your time and let me know when you're back, okay?
All right.
Or if you need help anywhere. So if you're just tuning in, Meg is releasing humiliation.
Okay, I think I'm back.
Okay,
Yeah.
open your eyes. How'd that feel?
Good.
Good. Beautiful. Smiley. Oh, smile there. Cool. So can you do me a favor? Go back to an event that if it had happened before, you would have felt humiliated. It can be from any time in your life. So just close your eyes and try to go back to that feeling of humiliated and see if you can access it. You probably can't.
It's so funny. There like almost was like a image of a lock in my head. Like it was just like, nope.
Don't need to go there. Perfect. So open your eyes. Would you say that's different than before we did the release?
Yeah, definitely. Because the event that I tried to go back to was one that I just cleared, and I like tried to like turn around, and it was kind of like, nope. Why are you doing that?
Good. Awesome. So now I want you to close your eyes and go to an event in the future. But if it had happened before, you would have felt that humiliation, like a made up event. See if you can feel that emotion. You probably can't.
It's so funny. Yeah, I just like laughed in their face. Like it was kind of like one of those, like I just picture myself like just laughing at them instead of getting emotional. It was more of like, yeah, right. Like really.
Awesome. So that was 11 minutes.
That was fast.
So how does that validation piece feel?
They don't feel attached anymore.
Good. Is there any type of feelings of being judged or needing validation from other people or anything like that?
No, I think there was a lot attached to humiliation that I didn't really realize because like for the last couple that we've been doing, they all kind of have connected to each other in a weird way. And like, yeah. So it kind of feels refreshing because it was like, it made sense how humiliation was attached to all those other feelings that we had been talking about. Like,
right.
Even from a decision-making perspective, right? Like definitely helps me kind of be like, humiliation seems to be when you make a decision and you have no idea what's happening in the situation, like the unknown that you're never going to get to know.
Right. You never can.
Right? You can't feel humiliated when something goes wrong because it's not attached to you.
Right. It's just a thing that happens. Right? So it's an awesome example of when you detach the emotion, right? Then you have choice. Doesn't matter.
Right. Always.
Right? There isn't that attachment. So maybe if you could quit. First of all, is there anything else that's coming up that we need to deal with?
No, like it's a lot of like reflection right now. Like I'm really going back through, like it feels like I'm, a lot of the choices that I've been making have been attached to trying to avoid being humiliated. Whereas like now I'm like, yeah, like I think
so many more choices.
Yeah, like it's kind of exciting.
Over my chair. I'm so excited. I like fell backwards. So one of the things that people often say to me when, I'm first talking to people about this work is I feel like I'm not going to be able to do it. Right. I'll watch your videos with Meg and I'm like kind of trying to do it and I can't do it and I can't think of events and I'm worried that I can't, like it won't work for me. I mean, you've worked with me a bunch of times. How would you speak to that? Like what's the experience like?
Well, like you're just kind of rambling off these different positions. And like anyone who's trying to do this, like you haven't been through the training with Eleni yet would be the first thing. Cause like, I think it took, like we did sessions weekly for like 3 months when I first worked with you, where we really went through how this process worked. And then I kind of had the positions memorized myself by that point where I can just go to the positions. But I did notice it today because it's interesting that you said that, because I noticed that when I was going between 3 and 4 and I was coming back on my timeline, I kept going into 3 instead of staying in 4. Or
into 4 instead of staying into 3, going into 3, right?
Right. Sorry.
4 being in it. Yeah.
Right. See, I even get them backwards sometimes. When I'm in it, my brain just automatically does it. But I kept floating like into the timeline, and then I knew to bring myself out, which is, I think, something that I wouldn't have known how to do without working with you. Like with you guiding me through it the first couple of times. Like,
yeah, and I can often sense, especially when we're working with, like, when you're not coming back, but when you're releasing, I can often tell when people are floating down into the event, right? And just, cue them to come back out of it. But yeah, it's like a muscle kind of, right? It's something that you're not, you don't know what you don't know before we start. And then it's, for most people, I would say it's a fairly easy transition, right? With me working with them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think it's a muscle. It's you're reprogramming your brain, so it still works like any other muscle. I like to think of it as like same thing as going to the gym. The first couple of times, it seems harder than it is. Or if you're working, walk into the gym by yourself and try to go work out, and you don't know what you're doing, it's hard. But if then you go work with a trainer, or you go to a class or something where there's guidance,
right,
it's much easier.
Exactly. You don't go to the gym once and do one push-up and then think you're done.
Right.
And say, I sucked at that push-up and I'm never doing it again.
Yeah. No,
well, I guess some people do. I've probably done that before. But yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I think just letting people know that it is like a muscle and that everyone can do it. And I'm here to help and to guide. And it's worth it because it, I mean, imagine if we had to sit here for an hour and talk about humiliation, and then you went back to work. Oh,
right? Think about it all day. Like, that's not
exactly. So we want, the more you talk about a specific, emotion or event, as we know, the bigger it seems and the deeper those neural pathways get, right? So what we want to do is just release it. Right? I don't know what that event was you went to, and I don't need to.
No.
Right?
And it is, and it's something that, like, I think I've said in another video, like, I do practice this all the time. Like, anytime that I have a thought that I'm like, I know it's a thought that's in an old pattern or a pattern that doesn't feel right. I kind of do, I guess, what is it, 3D, where you pull back?
Yeah.
Or like go above it. Yeah. Like, that's what I do that, like, in my day-to-day too.
Yeah.
Like, every day. So I think that that's why I can do it so quickly, is because like I've been doing this for a really long time.
Exactly.
And I practice it every day, which I think is the great thing about like coming to see you and doing your package, is that you get all the training. Because like, obviously we're not going to go into detail on here. This whole point of working with you, like, they got to come see you to really know what it's like. And then you give the tools so well that as long as you're practicing it and maintaining it, like, it really does become a habit. And I think that's why now when we release things like this, like
bam.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when my clients come back, or say we've had a break and then they've come back, after a few months or whatever, and they're like, okay, these are the things that I need to clear. And then I'm like, okay, and we bam, we move through them and they're done. Right? Like, it's just so fast. So people are always like, oh my God, I should have called you a month ago. Right?
Right.
So yes, it's doable and quick.
Yeah. And I can speak to that too, because like I know before we started working together again, like, I kept thinking about coming to see you. And then it was like, I think that was part of what the universe like brought us together, or whatever happened, the synchronicities to put us here. This has really helped me with the things that I've been going through, and the aligning of it, of us planning that we're just doing this.
Yeah.
It has made changes in my like awareness of what's going on around me. I've seen changes in how I'm performing, like my productivity is up. And then just things are just coming to me that we've been working hard on, that I was like, what's wrong here? Why aren't things working? Clearly it was my brain that was causing nothing to work.
Yeah. It was keeping you stuck. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So, and it's great because it's like every time that, and I think that's the other thing too, is it's funny, it just popped in my head, but like with the humiliation thing, it's a personal thing. Like, I am the only one that felt that emotion. and I'm attaching it to stuff that it doesn't even need to be attached to.
100%. Yeah.
So
Yeah, we all do that.
yeah.
Right? If that same thing happened to me, I might feel completely differently. Right? So
Exactly.
it's not the event that keeps you trapped, it's the emotion attached to the event, which is why that's what we release, right?
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
And you got to release it. You got to let it go. If you hold on to it, you're screwed.
I know. I know. And once you release it, it feels so good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So good. And it is like, I wish we were doing this 6 months ago when I was first getting the signs that I needed to let things go. Like, what was I doing? Why was I dragging my feet?
I know. People do that all the time. And then they're like, oh my God, if I'd started with you like a year ago, I could have had this all done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it is kind of just taking the plunge. Like it is a battle between your subconscious and your conscious beliefs. Like they are, your conscious beliefs to me are constantly changing as you evolve. And then your subconscious is kind of like, it's like turning a ship, right? Like it takes a second to turn, but then the whole thing takes a lot longer to get.
Right. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And your unconscious will start to poke you.
Yeah.
When you need to deal with something, right?
Like, hello, like, let's go here. And then it starts showing up. And then if it gets to a worst case scenario, which it kind of did with me, it like blows up in your face and then you do something about it. Like, that's not a smart process.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Everybody does it, right? Or we get to where we want to be and then we stop doing the things that got us there, right?
Exactly.
Which is why I have maintenance stuff for my clients, right? So that we can always be feeling successful and moving forward and not getting stuck into those grooves again, right?
Right. Yeah. Because that maintenance
can
is
happen.
so important.
Yeah. I mean, when COVID happened, I had a rush of clients who I'd worked with in the past coming back, and they're like, "Oh my God, where's this coming from?" Well, because your brain can't find that stability that it's craving.
Right.
So your brain's like, "Oh yeah, this is where I have to create anxiety or panic or whatever," and we just needed to do a little bit of tweaking. So,
yeah, new triggers bring up new stuff, right?
Yeah, we're always changing, always changing. We always seem to be doing. That's why it's called a practice, right? Because you have to be practicing it all the time, even once we, release the stuff. It's like an onion, right? There's so many layers.
For sure.
Cool. Well, I think we're done. Yeah.
I think so.
That was good. That was a quick one. Awesome. Well, if you're just tuning in, make sure you watch the replay of this and see Meghan release humiliation. We did shame last time.
Yep.
And we talk a little bit about the process as well and how she felt, at certain points during the work that she's done with me, because we were together for quite a while. And check out the replay.
Perfect.
And I think that's it. You have a good day. Thank you so much.
No problem. See ya.
Bye.